Welcome back to another episode of Under the Influence, the premier Christian influence podcast. Today, as always, we start out with a little devotional recap where Jerry and I go over what we've been reading in Scripture lately. Then for the main topic today, we go into Jaden Ivey and the NBA. We talk about his release. We react to his video of the Instagram statements that he made, and we discuss what should we do as Christians? How do we react to this? How do we show support? And how do we think we should react when we feel that things like this happen in the world that go against Christian values? Thank you for joining us, and I hope you enjoy.
What are you doing?
Where's Levi?
I don't know. Was he not under there? I don't want to think about it. He's just creepily like, hey guys.
I figured we should address the fact that Levi's not here for this episode.
Fine. Levi is, do you know where Levi is?
No, I don't.
Okay, let me tell you. So the play, he's been helping with a drama production at a Christian school that we went to, and so he's been doing practices and stuff after school, and we record this, obviously while he's there, so that's why he's usually a little bit late. But this week leading up to it, he's like extended practices by an hour and a half or something like that. Yeah, so I don't know if do you want to go first? You want me to go first?
I can go first.
Yeah.
This last week went through Jonah and then starting Romans.
Nice.
I took your advice. But in Jonah, I loved how it ended with the plant rising up and then God sending the worm to destroy the plant, and Jonah getting super angry.
Yeah.
And then God using that and saying, "You're angry about a plant."
Yeah.
that you didn't know and you didn't do any work for. It grew overnight and died the next day.
Yeah.
And you're angry over that. How do you think I should feel about Nineveh with 100,000 people in it? So I think it kind of puts in perspective the things that we get angry about. Is that really the thing that matters? Mm-hmm. Just that irrational anger of putting things into perspective. Like,
right,
the plant wasn't important,
Yeah, that's good. I love the book of Jonah. It's like short and sweet, and I had the opportunity to use that for youth group recently, and it was fun. Yeah, I love that. That's great. Jesus or God there is just like, dude. I mean, I found that particularly convicting too. That in the same way that when people, close friends or family are like, hey, I was never a Christian. I don't care about this. Like the way that has convicted me and been like, oh, now I really care about making disciples. And I'm like, oh, have I really ever cared this much? Mm-hmm. It's kind of similar. Like last time I was reading through that, I was like, oh man, it's like in a way, almost this much bigger way, God is getting Jonah with that, like you really even care,
Yeah. Well, and
or not really,
just the whole story of the disobedience to God and for the whole, they're not going to listen. Like God has a plan, and He's given you a task to follow it. You go there and preach, and what do? They repent. Mm-hmm.
It's epic, dude. It's so epic. It's so cool. There's something else in that really quick. Sorry, but something else in that I thought was so cool was, as someone that I'm really into the abolitionists rising, the guys going across America, trying to convince people that abortion needs to be abolished, right, and all of that. Mm-hmm. I found reading through Jonah, oh, this is cool. It's literally a story about, I mean, obviously God ordained that this would happen, and God sent Jonah to do it, but God uses one man to change the hearts of thousands upon thousands, just this kingdom of people, right? Just all the way up to also the ruler. I thought that was cool. So if it's God's will, it doesn't matter how many people are a part of it. More should step up, of course. But it was God uses Jonah, one guy, to go across all of Nineveh and preach to all these people. I thought that was super cool.
Yeah.
So my section is just a short one. I'm wrapping up with 1 Corinthians. I'm almost done with it. And in 1 Corinthians 14, verse 20, It's just a little snippet. It says, brothers and sisters, do not be children in your thinking. Instead, be infants in evil, but in your thinking, be mature. Really liked it. A lot of this, the context, is a lot about tongues and like how to not just be like willy-nilly with things, but to desire the spiritual gifts, but to be prudent and wise in the way that you use them and apply them and all of that, and how they're really God's gifts, right? And we just get to use them if he sees fit. But I really like this verse. I think it's like a good memorization verse, like to think about. There's another one that talks about to give up the ways of children, right? To give up youthful passions, right? And take up what is mature. But I like this one because it's like contrasting. It's like, don't be immature in the way you think. If you're going to be immature in something, which is like a lack of experience, be immature in evil, which I think is just a great contrast. Like, don't be a child in the way that you think. Instead, just be a child when it comes to your exposure to evil, which also speaks to the importance of us protecting children from evil too.
Yeah, and Infants in Evil is a dope band name.
I know, dude. Infants in Evil. Like, I'm serious. Christian rock band, Switchfoot, Infants in Evil,
Skillet.
There we go, right there. Let's start a Christian rock band.
That would be sweet. Oh, we could stream it. We could stream Rock Band.
Oh, the game?
Yeah.
We're called Infants in Evil. Nice.
Someone draw us up a poster for Infants in Evil.
This is no Levi, so it's just me and Jaret. And we've got like the death metal makeup, but with crosses.
Yeah. Yeah. I was wondering where that goes.
Yeah.
Slipknot, but Christians.
Yeah, Infants in Evil. I think it sounds a little bit too like evil, but the words evil's in there, Okay, so we're gonna look at some stuff here. You are more of a sports guy than I am.
Yes,
but we've been talking lately about the whole Jaden Ivey thing. Now, obviously, like, podcasts all over have covered this, and for this sake of this conversation, we're not going to really do too much reporting or like he said, she said. There's going to be some of that, I'm sure, but really not so much get to the bottom of the issue. We'll look at some things like that to inform a larger conversation, right? But I think, when we're talking about this, one of the most interesting directions or ways to start the conversation that I heard from you was like how should Christians react to situations like this, right? Like things like this happen, the world celebrates evil and then the world reacts and then a Christian is in the crossfire or whatever, however you want to call it. And so how should we as Christians, right, respond to situations like this? So yeah, I don't know. Should we just go?
Yeah. So I didn't want to do a deep dive and give all my opinions on the situation and dog the guy for his past or.
Well, you said you didn't want to do this, right?
No, I don't want to do that.
I thought you said I did want to, and
no.
Said dog the guy for his past.
No, dog the guy for his past, and people are already putting him under fire. Attacking like his mental health because he's stating his beliefs, so he must be crazy,
Yeah, dude, I thought that was wild.
Yeah, but I kind of want to give a brief overview of the situation so that people who aren't aware know what is going on. And then my question, that I proposed towards you on this was, how do we react as Christians? Because as a big sports guy, it's NBA playoffs right now. Am I doing wrong by watching and supporting? So that's kind of where I wanted to take this. I didn't want to follow the same path that, every other podcaster and sports show has taken it over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah. I mean, which there's nothing wrong with the things that they've covered. It's just we're coming to this much later. So listen to us talk about the same things over and over again.
Let me give a little bit of information about Jaden Ivey. Jaden Ivey was drafted in 2022, 5th overall to the Detroit Pistons. So
that means
5th overall is a lottery pick. Very good player.
Oh, really?
Higher draft pick, more money, more projected success. Played 3 years on the Pistons. Broke his leg.
During play?
Yeah.
Oh.
During the game, got injured. He was later traded to Chicago. There was some locker room drama. He was said to be preachy.
Oh, really?
It's believed that he didn't mesh very well in his locker rooms. Got traded to the Bulls, has had several injuries, and then went to Instagram at the end of March, where he talked about his faith, talked about pride in the NBA, which is the video that we're going to watch now.
Let's check it out.
That the world can proclaim LGBTQ. Right? They proclaim Pride Month in the NBA. They proclaim it. They show it to the world. They say, come join us for Pride Month, to celebrate unrighteousness. They proclaim it. They proclaim it on the billboards. They proclaim it in the streets. Unrighteousness. So how is it that one can't speak righteousness? How is it one that how are they to say that this man is crazy? That the world can proclaim.
So first of all, this is a clip taken out of a larger live.
Yeah,
and then,
I'm so interested.
As you can see,
What the context is.
he is doing this live while driving. Don't do that. We don't condone that. But
we don't know that he was driving. He could have just been really, really locked into the driving that someone else was doing.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, don't take that turn. Don't take that turn.
Yeah.
He was really watching.
So in the NBA, teams have, Pride Month, they have their celebrations. They have Pride nights. They have special uniforms or patches that they wear. They have floor art that they do for big events, and he's saying he doesn't agree with it.
Yeah.
15 hours later, after that video, he was released from the team, essentially fired for conduct detrimental to the team. Now,
Are there gay people on the team?
not that I'm aware of.
Yeah.
Now it seems like my issue with this is he could just be a problem in the locker room.
Yeah.
Maybe he's too preachy. Maybe it's, in the post, like the press conferences, he preaches a lot, asks his people about their salvation.
Really?
I can understand where it would be like, hey, this is a place of work.
Yeah.
Tone it down.
Sure.
But he's fired after this. And I'm struggling with this because in that video, he didn't express hate.
No.
He didn't condemn. He said you're
He called it
celebrating
unrighteousness.
You're celebrating something that is
Yeah.
unrighteous,
which
is his belief. And there's
it's true.
There's how many Christians in the NBA? Like
Sure.
People are announce their faith all the time in March Madness in college. People always give credit to Jesus for their success and how they do. The coach of the Boston Celtics is a widely outspoken Christian who has said plenty to asked if he met the royal family.
Oh, that's that guy? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, talking about
that was awesome.
the Queen of England and everything, and said, have you met the royal family? And he said, Jesus, Mary, and Joseph.
Yeah, it's such an awesome clip.
Yeah. But when this is targeted going after the LGBTQ community, he gets released. My issue that I have is there's a lot of things that people do for their conduct outside of games and the locker room that don't really get addressed. 2000 to 2016, 30 players in the league were arrested for domestic violence. 2007 to 2022, only 3 players were formally disciplined by a team for a domestic violence or an arrest. One guy had an 8-game suspension, a 24-game suspension, and a 30-game suspension. So there are people who are getting arrested, committing felonies, like assaulting loved ones.
Yeah.
But you're expressing your faith and saying, hey, this is unrighteous, and you get let go. If he was a better performing player because he's coming off injuries. He hasn't been performing the best. Like, would they cut a Steph Curry? I don't think so. They'd probably fine him and say, hey, don't do that again.
Yeah.
But my thing is, when I feel like it's a blatant attack on his faith and the message that we are supposed to give as Christians, and addressing unrighteousness, like, this shouldn't be celebrated like that.
Yeah.
How are we supposed to go and react to, sports teams, organizations, big businesses that have that message like that?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, listening to the Josh Howerton guys, what's that, Lake Point Church podcast, whatever, they made some points about how,
Love that podcast too.
Yeah, it's a good podcast. Those guys were talking about how, like, this is an organized religion when you think about it, right? Like the LGBT movement, it really is an organized religion, and each of the letters are a denomination essentially within that religion, and because it's so organized, and you have these people that act like the Pharisees of the religion, like you speak against it or you speak out of turn within it, then you are punished. Your life is ruined, right? I don't know. I really don't know the context entirely to that video. I wonder how much, like, because he even says some things there. He's like saying when you speak against unrighteousness, like, you're called crazy, or he says, like, they say you have mental health problems, or like he's saying some of these other things. I wonder if that's reference to, like, maybe he was already like towing the line. Like, do you think, because you said that they were calling him preachy, do you think that they had just talked to him and said, like, hey, you got to chill?
I'm not sure the context behind the video, but I'm sure that's possible. He could have been leaving from a conversation with front office where they say, hey, you got to tone this down or whatever, or him telling them, like, hey, I'm not going to wear that patch. Yeah. And then being scolded for it.
Yeah, I just wonder, like, because it's interesting, right?
Because now when you, like, the number one thing I hear, like, in doing research for this and watching, I don't know how many reaction videos and people giving their own takes, the amount of times that I've heard someone say that he's in a religious psychosis. Oh, wow. Like he's expressing his beliefs, so he's got to be crazy. He's in a psychosis state. Like, I don't know what's going on with him personally. Sure. I don't know the motivations for coming out with the video, but it definitely feels like he's under attack.
Yeah, I mean, so all I was going to say is, like, the video, with not having a ton of context to it, right, it does just kind of seem like he's complaining, right? And as a Christian, what he's complaining about, to me, makes sense. It is something that I would and kind of have also complained about, right? Like, just the state of the world. But it is something that, like, when I find myself complaining, I have appreciated the input from other Christians, or just the moments where the Holy Spirit's like, hey, dude, chill a little bit. Because, like, where I go, like, oh yeah, this shouldn't surprise me, right? Like, we should expect this. Then how we react, we do need to be careful how much we kind of complain and grumble, because it does invite, for example, like, if I'm trying to convince you that something is right, that is, like, to you part of your identity, and I'm just sitting, like, complaining about it, you're not going to listen to me, right? You know. But then also, because his job, he's paid to play the game for this team, to do the things while playing the game that they want him to do, right? I imagine, like, I don't know how the NBA works, but, like, I imagine you have to wear the jersey with the sponsorships on it that they get. Like, you don't get to choose, right? Or do they have their own sponsorships per player?
Like, players don't.
It's not like racing, right? With cars, where, like, don't people get their own in that? Or
so like in racing, you get sponsored by people and they put it on your specific car. Yeah. But in the NBA, like the NFL, those
it's a team thing.
Those uniforms are uniform. Yeah. They're all the same.
Okay. Yeah. So, oh wow, I see what you did there.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, make me look like an idiot. All right. Those uniforms are uniform. All right. No, that's great. Like, that makes sense then. So, it's like, you have a job, there's a uniform for the job, and if they decide that the uniform is going to celebrate pride, like, I'm not saying that as a Christian then he has to do it or should do it, but if you refuse to do it, and, like, that can be the principal stand that you take, and then you're fired for that, like, I don't know how much room you have to complain. The only reason is to say, like,
It's a workplace.
yes, like,
It's just because it's sports, it's not different.
yeah. And I'm not saying that makes it right. It's not right. I think as a Christian, we should say, like, this is an evidence, or this is evidence and an example of, like, the evil that's permeating these places. And an example of it ends up being, like, and how Christians are being stifled, right? The truth is being stifled. All that is true. But, like, is it like, I was gonna say, like, I mean, it is not just, like, because he is, but it is like the world that we live in. And that is like, so we've been talking about this a lot on a lot of recent episodes. You know, as Christians, you know, Jesus says, they hate me first, they'll hate you too. You know, live like me and they'll hate you, all that stuff, right? And be an example of the world by living like me, and do not be surprised when you share in my suffering, right? Like, I think it's 1 Peter 4:12, somewhere there, where it's like basically saying very clearly, like, don't be surprised when this happens, all that. So, like, I've just internalized that a lot. And so when this stuff happens, I think I could be callous in my response sometimes, to be like, well, it says, like, we shouldn't be surprised, you know? But then, where was I going to go with that? I had something I was going to say. It is something that we should then say, like, obviously that's wrong. We shouldn't do that, or that shouldn't be done. But then as Christians, I think the right response then is to say, like, okay, well, then that was the witness, right? Like, my conduct, like we've been saying, my conduct, you know, will directly inform my witness. And so my conduct in the way that I am fired, like, if that's the thing that happens, then I walk away and I don't complain about it. Like, I just speak the truth. And I you know, the best thing you can do there, I think, is, like, be honest and say, hey, they wanted me to wear a Pride jersey. I wasn't going to do that. Why? Because that's unrighteousness, and I'm not going to celebrate that. And they fired me for it. And so it's like almost like wear it like a badge on your chest. Like, the Bible often is talking about persecution, and it's much worse than this, right? Mm-hmm. You know, like, and it says even those much worse things, you know, you're being attacked and thrown in prison and physically harmed. It says, you know, wear it like a badge of honor. Why? Well, because they are persecuting you for being like Christ, right? Mm-hmm. But I think Shibs is trying to say something.
Yeah, I was just going to kind of add to what Jaret was saying, though, is that who knows? I mean, and it does feel like he's coming off of a conversation with management where they're like, you know, hey, we're all going to wear this patch. But I'm pretty sure labor laws require that employers do not require you to do anything that would go against your faith. And that they have to make exceptions for that. But I do see it over and over again that for LGBTQ and pride type events, that those rules just get kind of shoved under the rug, and it's like, no, everyone's doing it. You're going to do it.
So then, a sidebar for that, like, the Christians in the league say they're requiring you to wear this patch. Is it wrong for them just to wear it to avoid trouble? Or are they supposed to sit out, take fines, get fired? What do they do?
Yeah. I think it's a situation in which we look at, we'd have to look at examples in Scripture where Christians are asked to celebrate evil, because I think that's what it is, right? Mm-hmm. And I think in this case, I think, like, yeah, so let's say I'm in the NBA, right? Never
Believable.
Gonna,
Got it.
Oh, man, I wish Jared had been on screen for that. I don't think he was. Believable. Got it. And they're like, hey, you got to wear this jersey, and it says, like, you know, gay all day on it or something, you know, like celebrating pride. I don't know. And I think it would be wrong of me to wear that. Right? I think I'm celebrating evil. And because the purpose of it too, right? The whole purpose of it is, like, we're celebrating this thing that as Christians we understand is sin, right? It's outside of God's design, and so it's celebration of evil. So yeah, I think, long story short, like, I don't think that it's appropriate to wear it. I think that if you are, especially, like, if you are convicted, right? In a situation where you're convicted to not wear it, like, because even if we're wrong about what we're saying right now, that it would be wrong to wear it, the Bible does say that if you're convicted about something and then you act against that conviction, like, you don't act upon that conviction, right, then that is sin, right? So even in instances where something is maybe more nuanced and maybe it's not a make it, break it, like this is sin or isn't sin, but you are convicted. And the reason why that's sin is because, like, as far as that is you're concerned in that situation, you are believing as though, I think that this thing is wrong. And what you're doing is going against that belief that something is wrong. So even if something is something that someone else could do, but you feel like, it's wrong. So I think, in that sense, for Jaden Ivey, it sounds like he's very convicted about this. So I do think that for him to act against that conviction and to wear it anyway, I think would be a sin. So I think what it sounds like happened, if he was taking a stand to say, I will not celebrate this, and it sounds like the context is he's pretty preachy in the locker room, then, I do not think he should be surprised by this having happened. I don't think that any Christian should be surprised, especially when we learn that he was very preachy in the locker room. But yeah, as far as, I think...
Because at the end of the day, it's a place of work.
Yeah, it is a place of work. Like, I think, and the Bible talks about being... So 1 Peter 3:15, let's look at that, right? This is one that I've heard brought up elsewhere about this issue. And so, but I think it just works really well, right? Like when it says, but set Christ apart as Lord in your hearts and always be ready to give an answer to anyone who asks about the hope you possess. Yet do it with courtesy and respect, keeping a good conscience, so that those who slander your good conduct in Christ may be put to shame when they accuse you. For it is better to suffer for doing good, if God wills it, than for doing evil. Like when we are taking a stand, right? When we are acting upon conviction, we do so with courtesy, respect, right? We keep a good conscience. So, like if he had verbally attacked them, and was like, I'm not doing this, all this stuff, like, then that would be wrong. But the point is, like, to be above reproach and to do it in a way that's like, that they cannot accuse you of any wrongdoing in any other way other than they are accusing your good and right actions as wrong. They're calling good evil. That's the only situation, right?
They literally said it's conduct detrimental to the team.
I don't understand. What a weird way for them to label it.
I mean, they could say he like...
I know. That's why I wonder, is there something else going on? Not to say that he did anything wrong, but like...
Or if that's the language they needed to get him out of their contract.
Oh, maybe. Because usually things like this, they say things like, he
misaligned values.
Misaligned values,
like,
yeah.
So, yeah, like, but I don't see...
So I do think we have to be careful too when we talk about it, because like maybe there is. I'm certainly not.
If he was such a locker room issue, then I could see, like I said, I don't have the full story. I don't know his whole background. I'm just looking at this, and the focus that I wanted to give is like, hey, here is what appears to be a Christian being attacked for his beliefs by an organization that he works for.
Yeah.
How do we as Christians respond to that?
How do we as Christians respond to it? So like not we like pretend we're Jaden Ivey for a minute, but we just like, this thing happened. What do we do?
Yeah. I mean, let's say we're fans of the NBA and we feel that what they're doing is celebrating evil, and they just let a Christian be fired for saying that, hey, this is unrighteous. How should we react as Christians to that?
Yeah, I think I've thought a lot about this more in reference to things like the Target situation when that happened, Disney, like it's hard, right? It's really hard to know like how seriously we take the like voting with your dollar thing. Perry and I had said early on, like, we're not going to shop at Target anymore. And it was going to be a very long time until we did, like, if ever. And we're kind of, it's years down the road now, and so like if we have a gift card from a baby shower or things like that, we will spend those gift cards, because it's like also like, man, the money's already spent, like but we might as well walk out with some merchandise, you know what I mean? but like I don't have a perfect answer for it, is what I want to say first, because like I think first and foremost, if it's worth us talking about right now, then before that, it is worth praying about. Like if it's worth us even sitting here going, how do we respond to this? Then it's certainly worth us asking God, like, God, is there something you want me to do about this? And how do you want me to act? And then I think we look at it like, are we Jaden Ivey in this situation where we're being asked to wear these things and celebrate this thing? Or is watching the game, is that celebrating everything that the NBA chooses to celebrate? Because I don't think that is. I don't think like watching the NBA is celebrating Pride Month in the way that they would be saying like, hey, you're going to wear this banner that celebrates it, right?
Yeah.
But then I don't know, like, does the NBA get paid for this? Like, it's really easy to get lost in that, I think, into the nitty gritty of like trying to find all these ways. I think the best thing to do is to first ask the Lord, hey, I think I'm feeling convicted about this. God, can you please give me wisdom and show me how to act in this situation? God, do I need this? Or excuse me, God, like, can I enjoy this entertaining thing that I enjoy, but they seem to be celebrating things that are of the world? Because like the Bible does say that we're to be in the world and not of the world. So there's lots of opportunities that we have to be in an area of interest too, that people have, that is also full of detrimental, sinful things, but to be different in it. So like, as not a sports guy, but like a fan of a lot of video game related things, like I will enter those spaces where people in those spaces are celebrating evil to be a different example in those spaces. All that to say, like, I think first, so it starts with prayer. And then I do think it is good to take a break from those things. So like what I did with Critical Role, I've talked about this on the podcast a lot, but it actually led to us starting our own D&D podcast, was me being like, hey, I'm really convicted about this. I'm watching this thing all the time, right? Which I think is pretty analogous to what you're saying, because I'm not in it, participating in it.
Because you got me into Critical Role. I watched those first 2 campaigns.
That's right. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah. And I was really in it.
And then that 3rd campaign came, and we were both kind of like, Yeah.
Those two things coincided. Like I was losing interest because I didn't enjoy it as much, but I was enjoying it enough that I was watching it every week, 4 hours at a time,
Yeah.
So I was really convicted because I was like, God had really been gripping me, and I was actively involved in a church, and I was just more in love with God than I ever had been. And I was like, man, I'm watching this thing every week that like it's sitting in my head. The content of that show, it's sitting in my head, and it's often so inappropriate, so worldly, so counter-scriptural. And so that started, like you're saying, like it started this kind of conviction. And I'm like, okay, what do I do with this? And I was battling with like, I don't want to not watch this show. I do enjoy it. Even though I wasn't enjoying it as much, I do enjoy it. I really like it. I love the hobby. And it's like the show for it, right? And so what I came to realize was like, well, if there is a world where I can enjoy this and it's okay, like I can watch the entertaining thing and it not be a problem for me, then I can, that world can exist, and I can also have taken a break from it for a while to really make sure that like my thoughts are clear when deciding. And also that makes that decision easier, especially if the decision has to be to give the thing up. Then it's like, well, I've had some time realizing like, I'll live, So that's what I did. I just set I prayed about it, and I set a clear amount of time, and it couldn't be quick. Like it had to be a couple months. And so I think I set it was right on the summer or something. I said like, I'm going to take the summer off, like not going to watch the show anymore. I'm going to give that time up instead to time spent with the Lord. And after like a month, I was like, oh, I feel way better. Like it did change, because garbage in, garbage out. Like this is something we've said also on another subject, but like watching things that are really worldly, like when you replace that with something else, like it obviously you're gonna find. Well, what I mean to say is like when you're watching something and the content that's in that does get stuck in your head, So it doesn't mean you can only ever watch Christian movies, but it does mean that like you should be careful. And is that thing really promoting dangerous messaging? So I don't know. I'm like thinking out loud here, but like, can we enjoy the NBA? Me, no, because I can't enjoy it. But can we?
What would Chad do?
What should Chad Harms, our old pastor, do? Yeah, I see. I wish we'd gotten him on the show. That would have been great. That would have been really smart. Should have done that. Didn't think of it. But I imagine he still watches the games, and I think it's like, I wonder like that. I think is a good example of what I was saying before, where like you can enter these spaces and be the right example in them, right? Because like by watching a NBA game, even if they're wearing pride jerseys, are you celebrating it? I don't think so. But like we said earlier, if you're convicted about it, you better not watch it. Like if you're convicted about it, you better not, because there's a reason for it, right? Because I actually do think that the Lord convicts certain people on things and doesn't convict other people on those things to serve different purposes. Like sometimes the person that's extra convicted about that, I think that God uses that person to demonstrate to other people that like you can cut things out of your life. And then I think he uses the person that's like, when these things are more nuanced and not black and white, like it's a sin to do this or not, right? And then the people that are not convicted, I think he uses them to be the people that are maybe in the space, but changing minds, right? So what would Chad do? Yeah, I don't know. But I do think that I do think that this is one of those situations where it's like, if you're convicted about it, certainly don't. And then if you're kind of like, I don't know, am I convicted about this? Should I be doing this or not? It's a good thing. It's a good practice in life to go, you know what, I'm gonna pray about this. Whatever the thing is, I'm gonna take some time away from it, take some time off. I don't need it. And kind of like, that's what fasting is, right? And instead, make sure you replace that time with the Lord, right? And just fast from that thing, you know, because I think that like psychologically too, that just helps you make a clearer decision. And then I've had things like that in my life too, where I do go, I think it's okay, and I come back to it, right? Like for me, that was Marvel movies, like, you know, with all so I said Disney was another one, right? Like Disney owns Marvel, and I spent a long time where I was like, man, dude, this stuff is getting so dumb, you know?
Yeah.
Like just the entertainment value was going down, but also like there's so much messaging in here. And I just took time away from it for a while. Like the whole Marvel game took a long time from it, and it was just like, you know, do I really need this? Well, certainly not. I don't need any of those things. But like,
well, it's like those guys say in the podcast, like when they say, "Oh, don't talk politics." Well, politics have become more and more spiritual.
yeah, it's a good point.
Like,
Yeah, no, that's true. Like when politics keep becoming more like spiritual issues. Yeah, no, sorry, go ahead. What was your point with
well,
that?
it's just like one thing I kind of just thought about as we were sitting here is like Pride Month and LGBTQ, like that is specifically only about someone's sexual orientation.
Yeah.
Why is that needed to be discussed in a basketball game?
That's a whole separate discussion, right?
Like,
it's, I mean, yeah, like that's the thing. And now we're shifting the topic from like how do Christians react to the world. Now we're just talking about like why. Well, I can tell you why. It's what he was saying in that podcast, right?
Yeah.
It's because it's a religion.
Yeah.
They believe it. They have to. Dude, he has a heater line in that where he says, he's like, yeah, you know, we sit here as Christians, we grumble and complain, like, why do they have drag queens story hours where they're reading to kids? It's like, yeah, because every good religion, or every successful religion needs a children's ministry. It's like, dude, it's like, so true though, man. That's what, you know, that's like when people are like, you're a Christian, you got kids, you're teaching, you're indoctrinating them. I'm like, yeah, I am. You know, like indoctrination in the right way. It's like you should teach kids the things that you think are true and right. Everybody does it.
Yeah.
You know, we just have a problem with the bad ones.
yeah. Well, yeah, I think that's super helpful because that's something that I was kind of curious about. I mean, I'm a huge sports guy.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, you're not allowed to watch it anymore.
yeah, I have to just turn it off.
Yeah.
But that's something that's good to reflect.
That's what you wanted was my you're not allowed to do this.
Okay. Okay. But no, it's good reflection. I mean, taking a break is never a bad thing either. Like I don't really listen to music anymore.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah. I've been really into podcasting and I've been getting deeper into politics. And then I've been really into like political debates.
You gonna run?
No. For mayor? Debates about politics, not like candidates, but like like figures, just debating topics. And then my wife,
Jaret.
Yeah,
we can help you find some good Christian music. There's some good
here's
Christian
the
music
thing.
out there.
My wife told me I've been listening to too many debates because she goes, ever since you started getting into your debate YouTubes, everything's an argument and you're kind of being a jerk.
Oh no! Oh no!
Yeah. So I toned back.
Yeah, there's a balance.
I toned back on that, and I've been doing the Forrest Frank
Nice.
radio, and I got to tell you, it puts me in a really good mood.
Let me throw another one in there for you. Throw some Spencer Holland in there.
Spencer Holland. So I got Spencer Holland from you and Crowder's
good
Shibs out there.
But Spencer Holland, solid Christian artist, and he makes like it's good music, and a lot of it is, you know, mellow, right, in a Forrest Frank sort of way, and there's a lot of happy stuff and there's a lot of mellow stuff. I think it's just really like,
yeah,
I like it. I like to throw it in there.
Yeah. So maybe it wouldn't be a bad idea to take a step back, take a break, and kind of see how I sit on the whole thing.
I do that too with politics. Like I'll find myself, even if I'm listening to good politics stuff, like I'll just get so deep into it that I go, it's time for my political opinion / news fast. And I go months without anything. And then I just like ease my way back in a little bit. But then, I will... I also just found like even when it's good stuff you're listening to, like podcasts and stuff like that, like you can still just waste time on it, like where you listen to, because there's so much of it out there.
Yep.
So I've really tried to cut mine back because like, I will listen to a lot of the podcast stuff now, but I started getting back into music a little bit more because I would try. So what I do for a living, a lot of it involves like sitting in front of a computer and writing, like typing stuff out, messaging people, talking to people, preparing sermons, messages, show docs, all that stuff. You can't really listen to podcasts and do that very easily. And I was trying. Killed my workflow, man. It's so bad. So then I'm like, I got to do music again. And but the best way for me to do that was be like, I can't listen to any talk show stuff at all. Because I was, like then I'm always jonesing for it, so I should be like none and just music. So I did a similar thing. It was Forrest Frank, Spencer Holland, a bunch of other guys like that. And I can't remember the guy's name right now, but Julia, we're not talking about music today, whatever. But yeah, I mean, there was something else I was going to say about the Jaden Ivey thing. Oh, I wanted to say like, so if you're a Christian, because I think this is interesting. I heard the Josh Howerton guys, talk a little bit about this. He was saying how pastors can feel a little bit like some of them can feel this real bold, like, hey, like I'm calling evil for evil, like say, because it's easier to say it when you're a pastor or something. But then they'll either do that and be kind of like, why aren't you, in the workplace being braver about like, saying the right thing at the right time? Mm-hmm. Or they can take both of these are bad, right? Or take the other tactic, which is like, hey, like they're not talking enough, not emboldening the people in their ministry enough to take more of a step, because both of them can be symptoms of the same thing, which is like they're in a field where they're working all the time and like there is no culture war on them, right? Like there is none of this like facing every day like coworkers who may just brand you the religious guy who's too preachy in the locker room, or a boss who like you feel like, oh man, like this guy, I hear him talk about how much he hates Christians all the time, and if I say the wrong thing, what if I get fired, right? Mm-hmm. And there's ways to navigate those situations, right? But like it's the minister's job to speak to and inform their congregants on how to deal with those things. And I was just thinking about how like when it comes to us, like I'm not the one that's in that situation. You are. Like it's really easy for me to sit here and make even say some of the things I was saying in a kind of joking manner, which maybe I shouldn't, but it's easier for me to do that because it's not like I'm going to get fired from Christian Influence. But like you may at times feel like, man, how do I navigate what I say even on the podcast, or especially when you're at work, I imagine. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I just was curious for your perspective on that, because you obviously are in a workplace.
I have a couple coworkers that watch the show.
Really? I did not know that.
Yeah. But I mean,
cut everything I said.
It's hard because
you have to tell me afterward who those are. I'm curious.
While we're at work, you kind of tiptoe. I've seen the people that get talked to when they hand out like a track or
employees that hand out tracks. Mm-hmm. Really? Okay.
Or invite people to church. Like there's been people who've been talked to for that.
Yeah.
So like it's a place of work, leave religion out of it. But there are times and places for that. I mean, I wear the Under the Influence hoodie.
Nice.
I have like my hats, I wear my cross, it gets compliments. And it's easy, but it's usually those conversations have once you're invited into them. Mm-hmm. And it's a one-on-one thing. Or I mean, I'm fortunate I have an office, so I can have conversations about stuff like that with my coworkers. But it's not like evangelism at work.
Sure. I
now
think that's okay, though.
I have a little bit of it where I can, but that's with the people that I arrest.
Yeah, it's when they're pinned down. You're like, this is in the name of Jesus.
Yeah. But I have my resource packets that I give, and almost all of the resources point them to some form of church or Christian organization.
That's great.
So, but that's the little bit that I get.
And you also and a lot like check out my podcast in there.
Yeah. But also a lot of those people aren't friendly and wanting to listen.
Sure.
So,
but it's important that they get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Yeah. I think like when we say, it's a workplace and don't bring religion into it or whatever, like I think as Christians, we should say like, no, find the right ways to do that, right? Like when we were saying before, give an answer for the hope that you have with courtesy and respect, right? So like if they're saying, hey, quit inviting patrons to church or whatever, it's like, okay, I understand. But if the situation's right, like I feel like, finding the right way to still do it is a good thing, right? Yeah. But like Matt, our pastor has said a lot too. When he was working at Costco, man, I hope I'm not going to get him in trouble somehow. But like
the cooler,
yeah, like the freezer talks, the refrigerator talks. Like he was like, okay, I got to find a way to do this without getting in trouble, right? Or getting this guy in trouble or whatever. Like I got to find a way to do this, and and it became this regular thing for him where he's taking people to the refrigerator unit or whatever to have these spiritual conversations, right? And I think that was probably mostly just so that like they're not seen on camera for like not working, right? But like still, because I'm imagining that's why. But because in the grand scheme of things, though, as a Christian, what matters more, right? Like if this person seems like seeds have been laid and those seeds may be ready to be harvested, right? Like this person seems like they're ready to commit to the Lord, and you pass that offer up just because you want to keep your job, I actually do think that is indicative of the fact that you are not choosing to trust the Lord with your provision. Like, hey, heaven forbid, right? They do fire you because they see that guy asks you a question, you answer it, and that guy comes to the Lord, and they go like, hey, man, or maybe it's because of the conduct. They're like, because you preach the gospel. Like maybe they're super direct, right?
Most of ours is due to like complaints. Like people saying, hey,
it's religious.
This is what I saw. Yeah.
Really?
Or it made me uncomfortable seeing this or being invited to. So a lot of that.
Interesting.
I have a lot more freedom.
Yeah.
And opportunity, I will say, given the fact that I am plain clothes. Yeah. I don't wear an apron. I don't wear a name tag.
Did I accidentally reveal what you do on here? Was I not supposed to? No. Okay,
we've talked about it.
Okay.
So
he works for the Pentagon.
Shib's got that.
Oh. A red dot appears right on my head. It was just to say that, like, we should be willing to take a stand. And if it is, the threat is I'm fired or this guy hears the gospel and it seems like he needs to, right? Then we should choose the gospel. Mm-hmm. However, we don't have to run around with like an alarm on our head that's like trying to find that. We've talked about this before. Like we don't have to go seek getting fired to then turn around and be like, persecution, like, I was persecuted.
Yes.
Like there is the courtesy and respect thing, right? That's, I think, the answer to that. And we've talked a lot about that on recent episodes, like Christians that just like try and find ways to be hated so they can turn around and say like, Jesus said I'd be hated.
Yeah.
So this is because I'm a Christian. It's like, that's so lazy and stupid. I'm certainly not likening this to Jaden Ivey. I don't think I've seen that from him. Mm-hmm. The one thing I would say though is like, again, I don't know what the context is. I wanted to bring this up. There's a verse I want to bring up because let's say for the sake of argument that he is like rightly frustrated with the situation, and perhaps they just had a conversation with him and he was like refusing to wear that thing and they were going to fire him anyway. Who knows? But if they weren't, like if this is just him rightly frustrated with the state of the NBA, but he works for them, I do think that maybe they just saw like, what if it wasn't about LGBT and he was still like, let's say they ask you to do something, right? They're like, hey, we want you to do some interviews. Mm-hmm. And he's like, like complaining about it. They have grounds to fire him because he's complaining about his job, right? Mm-hmm. Like at least as far as I'm concerned. So I could see, certainly not saying I see it from their perspective in a broad sense. I'm just saying that like they are likening this, I'm imagining, in the same way. If he's refusing to wear Pride Month jerseys or whatever it is. And he's complaining about the fact that they do that. I'm assuming that like that's kind of their grounds for firing him, right? I do wonder it then if like the better tactic as a Christian in those spaces is to just like, again, like we said before, courtesy and respect, not be grumbling in the way you go about it, right? Like, and I'm not saying that he was doing that because I really don't have enough context, but if that's what he's doing, then I would probably recommend to him, like, yeah, like the better way of handling that is not in a public grumbling, or I'm using the word grumbling because I think that's what the Bible uses.
Stick to your convictions, but still be a good employee.
Yeah, stick to your convictions, but still be a good employee. And when they ask you to celebrate sin or sin, then you say no, but you do it with courtesy and respect, and then you say the truth as the alternative, right? But it does, the verse I had was Philippians 2 verses 12 through 14. So then, my dear friends, just as you have always obeyed, not only in my presence but even more in my absence, continue working out your salvation with awe and reverence. Oh, I just love that, working out your salvation, right? Just meaning doing the good fruits, the spiritual disciplines that God calls you to do with awe and reverence, like being like, dude, it's so awesome that God is awesome, right? With awe and reverence for the one bringing forth in you both the desire and the effort for the sake of his good pleasure is God. Do everything without grumbling or arguing. Like, I think the context of this is more saying, do all the good things God is calling you to do and don't complain about them and, you know, see them as joy. But I also just think that, I think if you continue, so that you may be blameless and pure, children of God without blemish, though you live in a crooked and perverse society in which you shine as lights in the world, by holding on to the word of life, so that on the day of Christ I will have a reason to boast that I did not run in vain nor labor in vain. Like, just again, the point of me reading it was just to say, you know, something we've been saying a lot on this, which is like your conduct does directly inform your witness. And I do think that if the way that we speak the truth that is this LGBT thing is unrighteousness and it is wrong, it does not bring glory to God, and it spits in his face, if the way that we're saying that is like complaining or in a complaining way, I do think that the world is less likely to be convinced and listen. That was all like, I could be wrong about that applying to the situation.
No one likes to hear people whine.
Yeah. And so if that's the case, like, I don't think that it's a convincing thing. And I'm not saying he was doing that again. It could be that he was, because I only have that snippet. I'm inclined to believe that he wasn't, because it seems more like, with some of the context, it certainly doesn't seem that way. And dude, I would probably have been like complaining too. It's so frustrating. There have been times where I'm in situations where it's like, yeah, we complain about the world all the time. You know, it's like we complain about the world all the time. It's so frustrating.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Was there anything else about that we wanted to?
No, I think that's some good.
Yeah.
Good information on how to react, to pray and listen to your convictions. Then you
go ahead.
You can always come back if you've taken that time and reflected and think that it's not an issue, then come back. But I think it is important to take that time and verify that, you know.
It is almost as though, like, based on what we were saying, you know, a good rule of thumb question is like, is me participating in this the way that I'm participating in it? Is it celebratory? Does it make me have that thing as a banner, right? As though I'm approving of it, right? Like, so for him, wearing the jersey, I think does. For you, watching the game, I don't think does. But again, if you're convicted about it, Jaret, you shouldn't do it. I do also want to touch real quick again on, I think it is cool that, like, you are in the workforce. And so, you know, we do get these different perspectives. This is more just commentary on our show, I suppose. But that was something that was, while I was preparing for this, I was just thinking about that, like, it would be really easy for me if I'm not, and I don't know if I've done this, but it would be really easy for me to be like, come on, dude, just be, you know, like, just be bold and say the right thing at all the right times or whatever, which I certainly don't do. But then, like, because I mean to say, like, I don't always do the right thing at the right times. But, like, yeah, you work in a totally different field than I do. Mm-hmm. Like, this is all that I do.
Yeah, I've walked the line, and, you know, been walking on eggshells, because I'm friends with a lot of non-believers working in that industry, like retail as a whole. But you make friends with people, and
sure.
And a lot of times when you make friends and build good character, you get opportunities to kind of talk about the things that are right and true, and maybe plant those seeds a little bit without having to be so afraid.
Yeah, when they can trust you, then they are more likely to trust your word. Right.
But it's all about discernment and knowing when.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it's just so interesting. I value that insight. I think it's cool. There was something else I was going to say, but I don't remember. I'm sure it wasn't that important. Maybe it'll come to me. But yeah, then on the topic of Jaden Ivey and all this stuff, and one of the reasons too that I'm inclined to believe maybe he wasn't just complaining for no reason and all that stuff, and like, because we have some other examples of his conduct. Again, very little context to this, but there is another clip, right, that you provided for us, which is pretty epic. It seems as though his response to this, I don't know if this was right afterward or any of that, but we have a clip here of something he's doing. Are we certain that this is after the firing? I saw a lot of headlines that said it was. So
I believe it was.
Okay, cool.
I don't see him doing this before he was fired.
Good point. He's probably. It seems as though this has maybe left him with like, what do I have left to lose? Which is kind of cool. Let's check it out.
Hey, free you, Jaden Ivey.
So he's preaching.
My boyfriend the same.
Blessed are the pure in heart.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So like, I'm really curious. I'd be curious to know like what church this guy's a part of. You know, something that I saw brought up too on another person's show was like how he has some really close connections to some like strong sexual sins, right? That he's been a victim of and also taken part in. It's like, and so when people were saying like that discredited him from being able to speak to sexual sin, I was like, dude, that's the dumbest thing ever. It's like, dude, this guy knows to hate those.
Yeah.
He's seen the damage of them.
I'm a drug addict, you know? I have a very unique hatred for drugs and how they affect people, how they affect families. Like my father was a drug addict. That doesn't mean I can't tell people not to do drugs.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. If anything, you have a better leg to stand on than anybody to say, to speak to the, it doesn't mean that, and that's not to say that I couldn't since I haven't, but like,
recovered, by the way. Not currently.
You did say I'm a drug addict. I wanted to clarify also. I was going to.
But no, it's I thought I'd make that clarification.
Was that an admission? I'm a drug addict.
It's, and he's been open about it.
Yep.
He's been open and said, yeah, I did these things, and you know, he's had plenty of his issues, which is why I didn't want to put him on blast for a lot of that. Plenty of other people have done that already.
Yeah.
So
no, I just brought it up to say, like, I think all of that,
it shows his change.
It does. You know, it's really cool. Like, it shows, like Levi said something, I think on the last episode, where he was talking about how, you know, there's a proof of God's transformative power and a proof of like what that we really do believe that what we're saying, when people see us change from our ways, right? So like when you do something wrong as a Christian and you go back and you make it right, then that should add to their like, oh, they really do believe this, and maybe that is something that helps them to see the validity in it as well, right? Because it has this the word of God has changed you, right? And so I think that there's seemingly fruit in his life, and I think it's so cool to see. I'd be really curious to see like what church he's a part of, and let's get him on the pod.
NBA pays a ton of money, and losing that job, it could be super hard, and he's out there, you know, spreading the word. I hope he commits his future to doing things for the Lord, so that way the Lord will act on his behalf and vindicate him in broad daylight and defend all his just causes.
Nice.
Thank you.
I think you're so good at that. I will always forget. And then you start, sometimes I see you like pull it up on your phone. I'm like, oh man, he's so good at that.
I'm trying to, I work it through.
He's so good. So good. That's our theme verse for those that don't know. Psalm 37 verses 5 and 6.
Yeah.
Theme for this season. Commitment to the Lord.
Yeah.
Well, not just commitment to the Lord, committing your ways to the Lord. Epic. All right, great. There was the only thing I think I remembered what I was going to say earlier. I don't know how much it matters, but I've learned a lot about there's a time and place for and like seeing the conduct on display of being a Christian, giving an answer for the hope, and doing it with courtesy and respect from other ministries like Satellite Gaming, like seeing Levi volunteer for them, because they go into the school district, right? You literally can't go preach the gospel in the school district. They just won't let you in there. So the way that they do it is like they go in and they don't preach the gospel. They just play video games with kids at these after school clubs. But they get opportunities to point to the kids to places where they can, right? So it's like, all that to say, there's countless examples of how to do this, and like your workplace, like I like hearing that that's how you're looking at it as well, right? It's like, yeah, okay, if I can't do it here, right? There's examples of how I can point them to places where they can get that, right? And then you're still spreading the gospel, right? Like it's so cool. So yeah, I just had to say that because in my head it's like connecting. Like, it just makes sense. Like that 1 Peter 3:15 and 16. You often hear 15 talked about, but you don't often hear about that gentleness and respect part of it talked about.
Everyone says don't throw the stone.
Yeah.
They never hear don't go and sin no more,
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
I feel like it's like that with a lot.
Yeah. No, that's true. Well, it's good. That was a good discussion. Is there anything else we wanted to...
No, that covers it.
No, that covers it?
That covers it.
All right, cool. What?
I'm just, this is one of the first topics that I've got to bring to the podcast, and I was really happy with the opportunity to do so. And
you're getting a two-handed clap out there. I don't know what a one-handed clap would be, but
it was something that I was curious about and felt pretty strong about lately, and I'm happy that we got to have the conversation.
Me too, especially without Levi. I would think that helped a lot.
Yeah.
No, just kidding.
Oh, good. He didn't hear me.
Yeah, he scuttled out earlier.
Yeah.
No, that was great. Thank you for listening, dear listener. I hope you enjoyed this episode. And if you want to be more involved in what we're doing here at Christian Influence, join the Discord, discord.gg/Christian Influence. You can talk about this show and get involved in our other shows as well there. And if you join our Discord, you can get in direct contact with us pretty easily. So we'd love to hear from you there. I think that is it. Maybe leave a comment down below. Do you watch the NBA? There you go. We love you very much.
Roll the outro.
That's a good one.